In this new Ultimate Team series, I make the best team I believe possible, picking players from all eras of NBA history. It isn't just about how talented the teams are, but I'm also trying to build teams that would gel and execute well together. Today, we're looking at the Ultimate Hornets team. Now, in case you didn't know, the Charlotte Hornets and the New Orleans Pelicans have an extremely complicated history. The original Charlotte Hornets were established and first began playing basketball in the 1988-89 season. For nearly a decade and a half, the Hornets competed in Charlotte. But in 2002, the organization relocated to New Orleans due to low attendance in the initial location. For years, this franchise was known as the New Orleans Hornets, but they did spend a short period of time as the Oklahoma City Hornets due to the damage that was caused by Hurricane Katrina. After some time, they returned home and remained as the New Orleans Hornets. But in 2013, the team rebranded and became the New Orleans Pelicans, which is what this organization is to this very day. The entire left side of this column has this as their franchise history. Now in the right column, you have a new Charlotte expansion team that began playing basketball in 2004. This new, completely different organization was able to establish itself in Charlotte because of the void left by the Hornets after they relocated to New Orleans. Now here's where things get really interesting. After the New Orleans Hornets in the left column became the New Orleans Pelicans, the Hornets name and logo were now up for grabs. So in 2014, the Charlotte Bobcats rebranded and became the Charlotte Hornets. So as you can see in these two columns, these are two separate organizations with two different owners and with two different histories. Yet, at different points, each of these organizations were known as the Charlotte Hornets. Because of this, all-time great Hornets players like Alonzo Mourning, for example, will not actually be in this Hornets video, but rather in the Pelicans video, since that is the organization that was once that Hornets team. I know, it feels gross and it's super confusing, but to me, this is the best way to break down these Ultimate teams based on the actual franchises they played for. In today's video, this column is the organization we're discussing. Before I get started, here are the rules you need to know. To build each franchise's Ultimate team, I will be picking a starting 5, a second unit representing each position, and then 3 additional rotation players at any position I choose. In total, there will be 13 roster spots. It's worth mentioning that I will not simply be building these teams based on how talented each player is, but I'll also be factoring in how well these players would do together as teammates. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting at the point guard position is the 6'1" bucket getter, Kemba Walker. A lot of people forget just how skilled this guy was at his best, as he was a shifty guard with a lethal step-back jumper. During his prime, he was one of the most clutch shot makers in the entire league. At his apex in 2017, he averaged 23 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds on 44% shooting. He may not be one of the strongest point guards in this Ultimate Team series, but regardless, you'll have to respect his abilities as he can get extremely hot in a hurry. Starting at shooting guard is the solid combo guard, Terry Rozier. This 6'1" shooter will be a solid perimeter threat for this team, and will help keep the defenses honest as he spaces the floor with his respectable sniping. With Walker and Rozier as the starters, size will not be on their side. But as quick guards who can shoot from just about anywhere on the court, defenses will have to stay alert at all times. At his best in the 20-21 season, he put up averages of 20 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds on 45% shooting. Starting at small forward is the 6'7" high flyer, Gerald Wallace. During his career, this guy did a little bit of everything, and that's exactly what he'll be doing for this Ultimate squad. He was a pretty capable scorer, but beyond that, he was also one of the best rebounding small forwards in the entire league. He was also an elite defensive player who made an NBA All-Defense team, was a steals champion, and was usually among the league leaders in blocks at his position. At his peak in 2010, he averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 1.5 steals on 48% shooting. Starting at the power forward position is one of the top players in franchise history, Emeka Okafor. This former Rookie of the Year winner was a walking double-double during his athletic peak. As a 6'10 tower, he was usually starting at the center position. But with that being said, he did spend a significant amount of time at the 4 spot, and with his ultimate team specifically, I thought they'd work well with a twin tower approach. Starting at center is the capable big man, Al Jefferson. During his peak with the team, Jefferson was a 2010 guy on a nightly basis, who could use his size and strength to impose his will on opposing defenders. With Okafor by his side, these two will be cleaning up the paint and filling up the box score with the boards. Running the floor for the second unit will be the 6'7 point guard LaMelo Ball. Even at such a young age, he's already established himself enough to be the first man off the bench for this ultimate squad. As a dangerous dual threat, he'll be causing tons of havoc for opposing defenses the instant he enters the game. His best season came in 2022, and that year he averaged 20 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds on 43% shooting. The shooting guard for the second unit is the solid scorer Steven Jackson. This large 2 guard makes a solid substitution as he can get buckets in a hurry with his aggressive offensive mentality. He was also an above average passer who will keep the ball movement flowing smoothly with the second unit. At his best with Charlotte in 2011, he put up numbers of 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists on 41% shooting. The small forward for the second unit is the former dunk contest champion, Jason Richardson. He's most famous for his time in Golden State, but during his days as a Bobcat, Jason was one of the top scorers on the team. Obviously, he was a fantastic slasher and a great finisher around the rim, but Richardson was also a solid spot-up shooter who could help space out the floor for the second unit. In the 2008 season, he put up numbers of 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists on 44% shooting and 41% from three-point range. The backup power forward is a more recent contributor, Miles Bridges. At this point in his career, he's still a young, developing player within the league. But with that being said, he's still a player who's ready to have an immediate impact whenever he comes off the bench to relieve Okafor, whether it be with his rebounding or with his reliable scoring. The backup center is the remarkably strong athlete Dwight Howard. Although he had lost significant steps since his prime days in Orlando, and although his tenure in Charlotte was short, Dwight still managed to have a significant impact that most teams would love to have on both ends of the court, as he was frequently putting up double-doubles as a Hornet, while doing his usual solid job of protecting the rim. Now on to the 3 rotation players. The first is the quality floor general Raymond Felton. With players ahead of him like Kemba Walker and LaMelo Ball, Felton might have a difficult time finding many minutes. But one thing about those other guards is that they typically tend to look to score for themselves, and a player like Felton could provide a more slowed down traditional approach if that's what's needed at any time during the game. The second rotation player is the proven veteran champion Boris Diaw. Although this 6'8 forward spent time with championship contenders like the Phoenix Suns and the San Antonio Spurs, his best production on an individual level actually came from his time as a Charlotte Bobcat. As a solid system player who's an above-average passer and can also knock down shots when he's open, he'll have a decent impact for this team off the bench. And now, the third rotation player and the last spot on the roster goes to the reliable small forward Gordon Hayward. His biggest issue in Charlotte is managing to stay healthy, but with plenty of time on the bench to heal and recuperate, he'll be able to come in and be a decent spark most of the time when he's called upon. So here's a final look at the complete roster of this Ultimate Hornets team. I gotta be real with you guys, this team sucks, and in my opinion is clearly the most lacking roster of this series so far. Usually, this is the part of the video where I try to find the silver lining and give a nice spin to the chances of this team, but I just can't do it this time, no matter how hard my brain tries. It's not totally their fault though, seeing that they're an organization that has only been around since the mid-2000s, But at the same time, this is the same franchise that once produced a team that only won 7 regular season games in a 66-game season. If you guys have more hopeful optimism about this team than I do, then let me know in the comment section below. Also, here is my list of honorable mentions. Should any of these players have made the roster instead? I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.